Hello everyone, I'm Katie, aka MadameMacabre. I've got a new story to share with all of you today, and I am also trying out a new format for this. Welcome back for all my returning subscribers, and hello to everyone new. So, I've seen a lot of people talk about things and share stories while drawing at the same time in the background, and I thought that looked like a really fun format. In my case, I don't really draw so much anymore, so it didn't make sense to do that, but I do compose a lot of music. So I thought it would be really fun to give it a try while sharing a story and actually writing music in the background. I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, anyway, here we go. The title. So, not many of you may know this, but for the better part of my sophomore year in high school, I was actually bound to a wheelchair while I recovered from a catastrophic leg injury. This injury being one I actually received at school. See, I was on the volleyball team. Now, I won't fully go off on a tangent because that's totally its own nightmare story, but essentially, high school sports are downright dangerous. Specifically American public schools. It's a real problem over here. The schools put such an unhealthy emphasis on these sports. So much of our budgets go into the sports. So much of all of the emphasis and focus go into this when it doesn't really matter in the long run to our education. But I digress, that's how it is here. So, of course, with this unhealthy obsession with sports, they have a really weird outlook on being competitive and how much time you put into things. I actually used to play violin in orchestra while also doing volleyball, but by the time I hit high school, I had to choose one or the other because they expected so much of a time investment if I wanted to do high school sports that I would have to drop all my other extracurricular activities and only focus on the sports if I wanted to be competitive. And as much as I loved playing the violin, it honestly looked like a better opportunity to get a scholarship for our very, very screwed up, overpriced education system here to go to college on my volleyball skills, especially since, for those of you who don't know, I am a tall girl. I am almost 5'9", so I naturally had a little bit of an advantage for some of the spots in volleyball. But anyway, that's besides the point. So high schools were crazy weird with their emphasis on sports. It was like their holy grail. So I had to basically drop all my other stuff. I had to drop a lot of my art stuff. I had to drop my orchestra and focus solely on getting onto the volleyball team. Now, it wasn't just like a brand new love for volleyball. I had been playing since the 6th grade. I had been doing club volleyball, playing over the summers and all that. So I was pretty experienced. So I was excited when tryouts came out, and they came and went, and I did pretty well, I guess, because I got selected to be one of the starting players. And for those of you unfamiliar with the sports, that's basically the team that starts playing, not the one that gets subbed out over time as they get tired. So I was the starting middle blocker for my team, and it was really exciting because I wasn't sure whether or not I was even going to make the team, let alone make a pretty prestigious position like that. Which was also kind of weird for me because I was, and honestly still am, a very introverted and awkward person. I was like practically flying under the radar invisible in high school. And most the other people on the volleyball team were very outgoing, very popular girls, and I just, I was clearly out of my element there. It was strange that I made it onto the main starter team because literally everybody else who made the team, they were already friends with each other. I was kind of the odd man out in that I didn't know any of them because they were their little friend group and I was like the invader. It probably didn't help that their friend who was a part of the main friend group did not get starter position. I got that. So that already started things off kind of on the wrong foot for me with these girls. However, they couldn't be too mad at me because as long as I played my best and we won, even if they didn't actually like me, they liked how I helped them win, so they were at least decent to me. And for the most part, it wasn't actually too bad. Even if they were just faking niceties and going through the motions. It's not like they mistreated me or anything. It just, I wasn't part of the gang. But that was okay because, you know, it was only after school when we did practice and only when we did games. And as long as I kept performing, they kept being somewhat nice to me. So it worked out. It didn't feel like it was intentionally being malicious or anything. It's just how, you know, teenagers are. If you're the strange one. So I'm going on a side tangent. Anyway. So that's not where the catastrophic injury comes in yet. No, that was when I was playing one game. Oh gosh, let me back it up. So the way that our games worked was kind of like a tournament. We were at these big population schools that had big budgets, so it was all over the top, big, crazy, like trying to mimic college sports. But anyway, we had 2 more games to get through to decide whether or not we were going to make it to the championship to actually vie for being the champion of the entire, like, region. So, of course, we're on the second to last one. It's going really well. The coach is getting cocky because we're doing so well. Normally, again, so I'm tall. I have long, gangly limbs. I do really well on the net. I do really badly when I'm in the back. I have a hard time bending down to dig the balls when they come flying in. Like, it's not easy for me to do. I look like a giraffe trying to drink from the watering hole. It's not graceful. It's not cute. It's not easy for me to do or fun. But the coach was cocky, so she left me in there instead of subbing me out. And I'm like, Coach, why are you doing this to me? What the hell? And she's like, no, it's fine. Get some practice. We're clearly gonna beat them. And I'm like, oh God. Without getting too technical, and it could get real long, like doing a play-by-play, reliving this game, but long story short, I tried my best to save a ball from hitting the ground and letting the other team score a point, so I had to throw myself at a really weird angle. The problem being, those gym floors were like really well, like they were sticky, like not sticky gross, but they had really good sticking texture, and my shoes had an even better sticking texture. So when my body flew down to the ground to get that ball, the inertia continued to pull my body even though my feet tried to stop me. So my feet were stuck down to that sticky ground and my body kept flying at a rapid speed. The good news? I did save the ball. The bad news? There was a tremendous pop in my ankle to the point where we had to pause. Everyone was like, what the hell? Okay, the really weird thing about this is that it didn't actually really hurt all that much. From the sound, I was thinking it was going to be agony, but like, I didn't really get hit with a lot of pain. It was strange. The problem was that I couldn't stand back up because my ankle just like swiveled loosely on its socket. You see, there's a really strong tendon that runs on the outside of our ankle that keeps our ankle taut so we can bend it to a certain degree and then it stops. I pulled that tendon like so overly tight that there was no longer any tension on it and my ankle could just fully extend all the way, nothing stopping it, back and forth. It was terrifying. It didn't hurt, weirdly, but it was scary. So obviously I could not continue playing that evening. I mean, we did end up winning, so Coach was happy, but my mom wasn't too happy. So what ended up happening is I immediately went to the emergency room, and the doctors took a look at it, and they're like, yeah, no, this is not good. The diagnosis, obviously, was that I overstretched that tendon, but the problem was that I was going to immediately need to get surgery to fix it. They wanted to basically cut a portion of that tendon out and reattach it so it's, you know, artificially creating that tension again so my ankle can operate normally. The downside to this was that I would have to be in a wheelchair for 6 months afterward while my body recovered enough, and then I would have to go to physical therapy to learn how to walk again, which was scary to think about just out of a healthcare scare sort of standpoint. But what was worse was that was right before our most important game of the season. I know it wasn't the championship game, but why is it the most important? Because the next team we were going to play was literally our rival high school. I asked my doctor if it would be possible to maybe tape my ankle, put a brace on it, and still try and play. And he flat out told me, no, it is against my advice to do that. Basically, he told me that if I continued to play on that ankle and I didn't immediately go for surgery, I was risking the ability to not be able to walk ever again. So, play the rival high school, be able to walk. I was only a teenager. That was a terrifying thing to think about. So, of course, my mother was like, we're having the surgery. We're doing it. It was all good, all dandy and good for her, but in my child brain, I'm thinking, I have to tell the coach I can't play on our most important match for, school spirit and all that. What's worse, I have to tell the team. So this is where it starts to go south, and this is where the title of this video starts to come more into play now that we have all the context and the pieces in place. Essentially, my mom called my coach, and she told her, because everyone saw at the match, they saw and they heard the pop, they knew something happened, but she told the coach that I was not going to be able to finish the season, that I was done, that I was going to be in a wheelchair for 6 months and then into physical therapy. So she was going to have to put the sub middle blocker in as the starter for the rest of the season because I was down and out. Now this is where it gets extremely disgusting and frustrating with, how I mentioned it being toxic about the way high school sports are? My coach requested to my mother that, just like I had asked, I wrap my ankle and put a brace on it and I continue playing because the next game was super important. And it would be fine if I took the rest of the year off after that, but she really needed me to play at my best for that very important game. And obviously, my mother, being a good mom, told her to take a short walk off a long drop and that I absolutely would not be playing another game as I was currently bedridden and would only be leaving the house to go get my surgery the following morning. So while my mother was able to protect me from the coach, unfortunately, she did not have the power to protect me from my teammates who I also attended school with. So the next day I went and I got my surgery, and it was rough. It was a major surgery, like I had to go under anesthesia and all that. But it went really well. It was probably the most painful thing I can think of to this day, though, like the pain after having it. Like, even with all the pain meds they had me on, I remember it being absolute agony. It was awful. Don't ever get this injury, okay? You would much rather break your ankle. Do not get a tendon injury. But anyway, so I had to stay home from school for about the next 2 weeks and just recover at home until I was well enough to start going in a wheelchair. Obviously, being a self-conscious teenager who was already a bit of a weirdo, I was really not looking forward to now having to go to school in a wheelchair and have it stand out that much more. I didn't know what to expect. And sadly, it was not great because of said teammates. One thing I can say is that the experience gave me a boatload of empathy for people who don't have, like, temporary stays in a wheelchair. They just have to stay that way. And the way that people can be so uncaring and just so cold and unaccommodating. It was crazy. It was a very eye-opening experience. So I've got a ton of respect for people who have to move about the world in wheelchairs and have to find a way to make things still work. But yeah, so the first thing that I learned is that, well, not everybody has basic decency. It's very strange because I was raised to have respect and decency towards other people, to show kindness and compassion. If I see somebody who is very injured in a wheelchair going up to a door that is not automatic, there's no way for them to open it, I would naturally go, oh, here, I've got it. I would open the door, and I would let them go in. Yeah, not everyone raises their children right. You would think that's a given. You would be amazed how many kids will watch you in a wheelchair and let the door slam in your face and like not help you. And I feel like to a certain degree that's definitely just poorly raised people, but it also a degree of the bullying came in here because remember, those teammates already just tolerated me at best. So before, when I was doing what they wanted and I was playing well and I was helping them win, then they were okay with me. It was all right. Even though I was the weird one and they never let me in, I was the outsider looking in. They didn't actually want to let me join them in anything. But they were fine because I let them win. As soon as I stopped being useful to those girls, they turned on me like a pack of bloodthirsty harpies, let me tell you. The first time I got back to school in my wheelchair and I saw the team captain, I said hello to her in the hallway. She gave me the dirtiest look I had ever experienced from her. Like I was just something disgusting on the bottom of her shoe. And she looked down, she looked at my leg in this huge cast contraption in my wheelchair, looked at me in utter disgust. And she, you know what she said? You are a disgrace to this school. You are a traitor. Do not ever talk to me again. Oh, yeah, you see, in those 2 weeks that I was recovering at home, our very important match with our rival school came up. And they did not manage to win. You know, a rational, a logical person might stop and think, okay, so our rival school has just as much money as us, has just as big of a population, just as big of a pool of talented players as us. They're a very talented team, so it, you know, could have been a tight match and they just beat us on skill alone. No. It was entirely my fault for being in surgery instead of playing the game that they lost, and she was going to make sure the entire school knew it. From that day forward, every time I encountered any one of my ex-teammates anywhere in the school, they would either completely refuse to even acknowledge my existence, or they would give me these nasty glares and then proceed to ignore my existence. And what's worse, they spread the word with all their other friends. And remember, these were very popular girls. They had lots of influence everywhere. So they made sure all of their friends were cold to me. Everyone that they knew and that they were close with and had any sort of influence with was going to ignore me and pretend I didn't exist. It was a really difficult and lonely year for me. See, a lot of my close middle school friends ended up going to a different high school, and in my first year, I made some friends, but also I was still getting those growing pains trying to see where I belonged, so I didn't have that many close friends at that point yet. And even the two friends that I had at the time were not sharing many classes with me, so it was rough. And also having basically the well poisoned against me made it much harder to make friends with anyone around me. So the amount of doors that were slammed in my face while I was in that wheelchair was insane. It got to actually be enough of a problem that teachers saw it happening, and the principal actually assigned an aide to help me get in and out, which was incredibly embarrassing, even more so in high school to have that happen. And I just wanted to like curl up and die, because on top of going through that emotional pain, I was still in a lot of physical pain. Like, let me tell you, this was a really painful injury. I mean, when it actually got injured, it wasn't that bad, but that surgery was agonizing. Even on pain meds, every day while it was healing, it was bad. So it was a really, really, really tough year, and I did not want to finish that year. I mean, thankfully, we were nearing the end of that year, and I think, honestly, the only thing that got me through that year emotionally and just got me out of that dark place was this program we had back in Washington called Running Start, which it was a small glimmer of hope. It was a program that would let me attend the local community college while in high school and just take college courses. I would be able to graduate high school while also getting college credits towards an associate's degree. And it sounded like, honestly, like from God above, it was the perfect escape, because I wouldn't have to be in this hellhole of a high school anymore. Like, I understand there's a lot of people who really, really enjoyed high school and they found themselves there. And I'm so happy for the people who were able to have a good time there. But For me, unfortunately, it didn't work out. There's no love lost with me in high school. I have no real positive memories there. I have no desire to go back. It just wasn't good. I didn't even go to my own prom, and it's not like, oh, sad me, I missed my... No, I did not want to go. You could not pay me to have gone to that. I was much, much happier with the college thing. So I did end up taking up the offer of doing Running Start. So I went to college, and I thrived there, honestly. As an introvert who actually really enjoyed academics and studying, I had a blast doing Running Start. I loved attending the college because they didn't actually tell the teachers or the other students that we were Running Start students. For all they knew, we were just other enrolled students. I thrived there. I had a blast. I was able to graduate with my degree, as well as 3/4 of the credits needed for an associate's degree, which I actually chose to do because had I gotten a full associate's degree, it would have been harder to transfer to the college. It's weird. I'm getting off track. Basically, the college I went to was very specific, so I did that intentionally to make it easier to get the classes I wanted at my college, so I chose that. But anyway, it was good. Good happy ending. Is after that horrible sophomore year, I was able to find happiness by going to the local college instead of my high school, because those vicious, vindictive, awful girls were loving every moment of high school. They controlled the school. They had a blast. So they had no desire to go to the local community college. So their sphere of influence, it didn't matter there, because even if they went there, they would have no control. Adults are at college. Adults would like look at them and roll their eyes like, stop being a child. Go take a nap. But anyway, yeah, that was honestly a really kind of traumatic experience for me in high school. I mean, obviously physically traumatic with that injury and that surgery, but also emotionally very traumatic. It was a hard experience. Like, mind you, it wasn't like complete misery 24/7, because I did encounter nice people here and there. My teachers were great, and you know, I had a few things here and there that were good. I met some nice people here and there, so that was all right. But overall, it was a tough time in my life. I didn't much enjoy high school, which is a shame, because I might have actually been able to, if not thrive, at least do okay in high school. Because academically, I've always loved learning, so my grades have always been really strong. Like, I could have at least been the quiet bookworm. It could have been fine. Maybe I would have found the drama club or something like that to join and found my place, if things had not been poisoned by the popular girls of the volleyball team. They went ahead and went out of their way to basically try to destroy my life for something I had no control over. An injury I got by being forced to play a position everyone knew I wasn't good at. And it's my fault because I had to get surgery, because the doctor told me if I didn't, I would lose my ability to walk. So what, I play one more game for you, and then I stop being able to walk? Cool, thanks, nice trade-off, love it. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this anymore. Anyway, I just figured I would share this story with you, and you know what? I hope it can be helpful for someone out there, because Lord knows there's a lot of people going through a lot of garbage out there, and maybe you can find strength from this, because I made it through. I found a much better place after that. It didn't last forever, so if you're going through something similar, this is not forever. This is not permanent. You will get through it. Also, to my ex-team, and especially to my darling ex-team captain, I hope you're miserable. Oh, wait, right. I'm supposed to be the bigger person. Okay. I hope you make yourself miserable. Yeah, obviously the best thing is to hope that they learned and they've gotten better, and that would be good too, but you know what? They traumatized me. I'm allowed to be a little bit bitter every now and then. It's not like it controls my life. Which, there we go. There's a moral we can draw out of this. So, you are not obligated to forgive your abusers. I know, it's very popular, the whole, oh, you must forgive them to be able to move on with your life. Forgive and forget. Here's the thing. You don't got to. You can refuse to forgive them, but you can still not let them occupy your heart and mind. You can forget about them and move on with your life, but you don't have to forgive them. You don't gotta do it. So let's repeat. You do not have to forgive your abusers. All you have to do for yourself is not let them control your life. Don't let them occupy your thoughts. Don't let them occupy your heart. Let that go. but you don't have to forgive them. Obviously, if you feel so moved to do so, that's fine, go ahead and do it. But don't let anyone pressure you into it. If you don't forgive them because they're not sorry, don't. You don't gotta do that to move on. You can move on without doing it. I don't know, I'm going on a side tangent here. Anyway, sorry, I just hear that a lot and like, no, you don't. That's entirely your choice, up to you, your heart, and how you feel. Just whatever's gonna allow you to heal and be happy. All right, well, I have prattled on and on and on long enough, so I think I'm going to draw this to a close. I wish I could say, oh, I hope you enjoyed this story time, but I know it was kind of painful to listen to. I hope it was at least, food for thought, something that, gave your mind something to ponder. And if you have gone through something similar, or you've got any sort of experiences that like evoked the same feelings from you or things along the same vein, I hope that it was something that could give you strength or, help you identify or help you process your own things. I don't know. I just hope that it could have been helpful for at least one person. And, if you find yourself on the end of, being cruel to somebody else for something like that, maybe rethink that, because that's super not cool, dude. As always, please feel free to leave any of your thoughts below, and if you've got your own stories, I would love to see them down below. I may not respond to everything, but I absolutely read all your stories. And I hope you like this new Storytime format. I thought it would be kind of fun to switch it up and try it this way, and I've got plenty more stories that I would be happy to share this way in the future. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and draw this to a close now. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like, and if you're not subscribed, join the family over here. I'm your eccentric Aunt Katie, local bog witch extraordinaire. Alright guys, I will catch you all next time, and until then remember, stay creepy.